Hey there, and welcome back to another story that just might tug at your heartstrings. If you've ever wondered what it means to come home, not to a place, but to a person, then this one's for you. This is the story of Nathan Reyes, a tech prodigy who traded algorithms and boardrooms for old barns and unfinished promises. And of Leah Monroe, the girl he left behind, who never stopped painting his memory beneath the oak tree they once claimed as their own. When paths cross again, can two people with history rewrite their ending, or are some promises better left buried? Stay with us, because the truth behind his return might just change the way you see love, regret, and second chances forever. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a story that matters. And as always, we'd love to know where you're listening from. Drop your country in the comments below. Now settle in, because this story starts not in a city of glass towers, but under a tree that remembers everything. Now let's begin. The sun hung low over the quiet town of Silverbend, casting long amber streaks across the empty two-lane highway. Dust lifted behind an old Chevy as it made its way past the barley fields, through the iron archway that read "Welcome to Silverbend, population 2,142. Nathan Reyes hadn't been back in almost 7 years. The last time he crossed that sign, he was 17, awkward, brilliant, bursting with ideas and nowhere to place them. Now, at 24, he had more titles than he ever wanted: software prodigy, AI revolutionary, Silicon Valley millionaire. But none of them made him feel like he belonged. He cut the engine outside a small white cottage, the paint chipped, porch light flickering. For a long second, he just sat there, his fingers curled tightly around the steering wheel, his heart pounding in ways code and corporate mergers never could trigger. The air smelled like dry grass and rain-drenched wood. A familiar ache bloomed in his chest as he grabbed his backpack and stepped out. Gravel crunched under his boots. He didn't knock. Instead, he walked around the back, to the hill behind the Monroe house, where a sprawling oak tree stood like a memory carved into bark. There it was, their spot. The time capsule they buried lay hidden beneath that twisted root, marked only by a tiny scratch Leah had made with her house key. She'd laughed when she did it. "In case you forget," she had said. Nathan knelt beside the tree. The soil was harder than he remembered. His hands, once made for digging and mischief, now stiffened from years behind a keyboard. The capsule was still there. Inside it, a folded drawing Leah made of them beneath this very tree, her watercolor set, and a note in fading ink. "If you're reading this, you better not be rich and forget where you came from. Leah M." He exhaled sharply. Then he heard it. A screen door creaked open. "Either you're trespassing or you finally came to pay your debts." He turned slowly. Leah Monroe stood on the porch in jeans stained with paint and a flannel tied around her waist. Her auburn hair was longer now, a little messier, her eyes a little sharper, but he would have known her anywhere. "I'm here," Nathan said, his voice lower than he remembered it. "You're late," she replied. He smiled faintly. The road was long. Leah stepped down the porch stairs. Her expression was unreadable, something between disbelief and restraint. "So what brings the big tech messiah back to Silverbend? Burnout? Midlife crisis at 24? I made a promise," he said, glancing back at the tree. "I came to keep it." Silence stretched between them like a drawn breath. Then she said softly, "It's been 7 years, Nate. Promises get buried. People move on." "Did you?" Leah hesitated. "I learned how to stop waiting." And with that, she turned and walked back into the house. Nathan stayed at the oak tree long after the door shut. The wind picked up, rustling the leaves like whispers from a life he left behind. He was back, but nothing felt like home. The next morning, Nathan woke up in the dusty attic room above the town's only general store, owned by Mrs. Halbert, who used to slip him extra licorice sticks as a kid. The cot groaned beneath him when he sat up, and sunlight cut through the slats in the wooden blinds like golden prison bars. He hadn't slept much. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Leah standing in the porch light, her voice clipped, her eyes guarded. He couldn't blame her. Downstairs, the scent of brewed coffee drifted through the floorboards, pulling him out of bed. He threw on a hoodie and made his way down, nodding at Mrs. Halbert, who stood behind the counter tallying receipts. She looked up. "You've got that look." "What look?" "The look of someone who came back hoping things hadn't changed." He gave a half smile. "Have they?" Mrs. Halbert poured him a mug and slid it over. "Everything does, honey. Even trees." Nathan thanked her and stepped outside with the coffee in hand, watching as the town slowly came to life. A delivery truck passed. A girl on a bicycle waved at him. He didn't recognize her. That felt strange. Once he knew everyone here. Now he was a stranger in his own hometown. Across the street, the door to the diner opened with a jingle. Leah stepped out wearing a beige apron, a pen tucked behind her ear, balancing a tray of empty glasses. Her eyes flicked toward him. Briefly, no smile, no wave. He crossed the road anyway. The bell rang again as he entered the diner. A few heads turned. The waitress at the counter, Kayla, if he remembered right, raised her brow. "Nathan Reyes. Well, I'll be." "Hey, Kayla, you're taller. Or maybe everyone else shrunk." She snorted and pointed to a booth by the window. "Sit. I'll grab you the usual." He paused. "You remember my usual? Egg sandwich, black coffee, and a slice of Leah's strawberry pie if it hasn't sold out." Nathan sat, a quiet wave of warmth washing over him. The town might have changed, but some things still felt stitched to memory. Leah walked over minutes later, holding the plate. "You came back," she said flatly. He looked up at her. "I meant what I said yesterday." She placed the food in front of him. "That you made a promise?" He nodded. "Not just about the capsule." Her eyes narrowed slightly. "You mean when you said you'd come back for me?" The booth suddenly felt too small. Nathan leaned forward, his voice low. "Leah, I didn't forget. I was going to. But you didn't," she cut in. "You went off and conquered the world. I stayed and cleaned tables. Not because I wanted to leave you behind. No, you just did it anyway." Silence dropped between them like a stone. He looked out the window. "You know what success doesn't teach you?" "What?" "How to fix something you broke without even realizing it." Leah didn't reply at first. She just studied him, really studied him, like she wasn't sure if he was real or just something nostalgia had conjured. Then softly, she asked, "Why now?" Nathan hesitated. "Because I looked at everything I've built, and none of it meant anything without you in it." Her breath caught. It was barely noticeable, but he saw it. She straightened, brushing an invisible crumb from her apron. "Enjoy your pie," and she walked away. Nathan stared at the slice of strawberry pie. 7 years ago, they used to share one every Thursday after school, sitting on that same red booth, legs tangled beneath the table. He took one bite. It still tasted like summer and promises. Later that day, the sky turned the color of old tin, and wind swept through the trees as if trying to peel away the stillness of Silverbend. Nathan stood in front of the old Monroe barn, now sagging in the corners, its red paint peeling like a memory losing color. He had driven out there not because he had business, but because Leah's art used to live here. Literally, the barn had once been her studio. He remembered helping her hang twine from beam to beam, pinning her sketches like stars across the wooden frame. She used to dream out loud here, barefoot on hay bales, brush in hand. Now the door creaked open under his palm. The inside smelled of dust and lavender, the remnants of old turpentine and forgotten hopes. A few canvases still leaned against the wall, half-finished, paint cracked by time. He brushed his fingers over one. A lake, a silhouette beneath an oak tree, arms stretched to the sky. "Don't touch that," came a voice from behind him. He turned. Leah stood in the doorway, arms crossed. "I figured you'd be at the diner," he said. "I took the afternoon off," she replied, not stepping in. "Sometimes I need to remember why I stayed." Nathan looked around. "This place. You used to say it was your cathedral." "It still is," she said quietly, then added, "I just don't pray here anymore." He swallowed hard. "You stopped painting?" "After my dad's injury, there wasn't time," she said with a shrug, as if it didn't cost her something to say it. Medical bills piled up. My part-time jobs became full-time. I couldn't afford the paints anymore. Or the dream. Nathan looked at her, guilt prickling at the edges. I didn't know. Of course you didn't. You weren't here. The air pulsed between them. I wanted to be, he said softly. I wanted to call, right? Come back. But I kept thinking, just one more deal, one more launch, one more year. And suddenly, 7 years had passed. Leah stepped into the barn then, her gaze softer now. Do you ever think about what would have happened if you had stayed? All the time, he whispered. She walked to the canvas he'd touched earlier. This one, I painted it the day after you left. I sat right there and tried to remember the way your silhouette looked under that oak tree. Nathan took a breath. Leah, I didn't come back to ask for forgiveness. I came back to find the part of me I left here. And maybe, just maybe, to see if any part of you still believes in us. She stared at him, eyes unreadable. Belief isn't the problem, Nathan. Time is. People change. I know, he said, but maybe some things just shift shape. A sound interrupted them. A voice calling from the house. Leah! She turned sharply. It's my dad, she said, already walking fast out the door. He's been having dizzy spells. Nathan followed without thinking. Inside, the small living room looked the same as it did when they were teens. Faded carpet, photos on the wall, a worn-out couch. Mr. Monroe was slumped against the armrest, his hand clutching his temple. Leah rushed to him. Dad, hey, it's okay. I'm here. I just got up too fast, he muttered, his voice thin. Nathan crouched beside them. He needs to see a neurologist. We've been to the clinic, Leah said tightly. They said it's a circulation thing. Medication's expensive. I can help. She shook her head. Don't start throwing money at this. You don't get to be the hero. I'm not trying to be a hero, he said gently. I'm trying to be someone who stays. She met his eyes, and something in hers cracked just slightly. I'm not ready, she whispered. I can wait, he said. Outside, the wind blew harder, and somewhere in the barn, a canvas fell with a soft thud. The ghosts of 7 years had begun to stir. 3 days passed. Nathan spent them quietly, helping Mrs. Halberd with deliveries in the mornings, fixing the Monroe's fence in the afternoons, and walking past the oak tree every evening, hoping Leah might show up. She didn't. Not until Friday evening, when he found her standing in the middle of the old gas station parking lot. Her car had propped open, steam hissing into the pink dusk. Nathan parked beside her without a word, popped his own trunk, and pulled out a pair of gloves and a flashlight. I'm guessing she didn't want to start, he said. Leah glanced up. Started fine, until she didn't. He leaned over the engine, inspecting the belt and radiator. This hose is cracked, probably leaking fluid. You'll overheat every 10 miles until it's replaced. Leah crossed her arms. Look at you, Mr. Fix-It. Nathan gave her a sidelong smile. Turns out some things you don't forget, like how to patch together a car with chewing gum and wire hangers. She chuckled softly. You really have changed. He looked at her seriously. I hope so. Silence stretched between them again. But it wasn't the cold kind anymore. It was the kind that trembles on the edge of something new. Leah sat on the hood of her car. So, you're really back? Yeah, he said, leaning beside her. Though I'm still figuring out what that means. She tilted her head. I heard from Kayla that you turned down a board seat at Optitech. Nathan nodded. They offered me millions and control of my own division. Why'd you say no? He hesitated, then looked out at the tree line beyond the gas station. Because none of it made me feel anything. Not like this place does. Not like you did. Leah swallowed. You mean do? Nathan turned toward her. That's up to you. She stood then, suddenly restless. You don't get to come back and just pick up where we left off. I know. And I'm not 17 anymore, Nate. I know that too. She walked a few steps away, fingers gripping her elbows. I stayed here because I had to, because I couldn't afford to leave. I lost my mom. I almost lost my dad. And you were just headlines on my phone. I thought about you, he said. More than you know. Then why didn't you come back? He took a long breath. Because I was scared. Leah turned. Of me. Of seeing what I missed. That made her pause. The sun had dipped lower now, leaving a trail of burnt orange across the gravel. The whole town seemed to hold its breath. She walked toward him, close enough that he could smell the faint scent of lavender and engine grease. I don't know if I still love you, she said, voice trembling. But I know I never stopped wondering what we could have been. Nathan nodded slowly. That's enough for me. A moment passed, then another. Then Leah reached into her pocket and handed him a key. To the barn, she said. I think there's one more painting you need to see. He took it, brushing her fingers lightly. Will you be there? Leah gave a small, lopsided smile. Maybe. As she turned to climb into her car, Nathan called out, I never wanted the world without you in it. Leah looked back over her shoulder. Then maybe stop trying to build one alone. She drove off into the twilight, the taillights glowing like quiet embers. Nathan stood there for a long time, key in his hand, heart wide open. The barn smelled of old hay and forgotten years. Nathan pushed the creaking door open slowly, flashlight in hand, the beams slicing through motes of dust that danced like fireflies in the dark. It had rained earlier. He could smell the wet soil outside, the cold in the air creeping in through cracked wood. He found the painting propped against the far wall, covered in a threadbare quilt. It was larger than the others, the edges wrapped in caution like a secret too fragile to uncover. Nathan hesitated, then slowly pulled the cloth away. And there it was, a self-portrait, not of Leah but of him, his 17-year-old self, standing under the oak tree. Same dark curls, same nervous smile, but in her rendering, there was something else in his eyes, hope, unshaped and open. He was holding something in his hands, a folded piece of paper. On it, in the painting, barely visible, "Come back for me." Nathan staggered back, breath caught in his throat. She had painted this after he left. She had believed. He sat down on an overturned crate, the weight of what he'd lost pressing against his chest. He'd built apps that helped doctors predict heart attacks. He'd sat across from billionaires, advising them on machine learning. He'd watched his name trend globally, but no one had ever seen him the way Leah had before all of it. He stayed in that barn until the cold bit into his fingers. When he returned to town, it was nearly midnight. He didn't go to the general store. He didn't go home. He went to the diner. The lights were still on, the door unlocked. Kayla sat at the counter doing inventory. You look like you've seen a ghost, she said. I did, he whispered. And she's real. She raised an eyebrow but didn't pry. She's out back. Nathan pushed through the kitchen doors, stepping onto the back patio where the staff took their breaks. Leah sat on a bench, wrapped in a blanket, her hair messy and her eyes red. Not from tears, just from the kind of exhaustion that seeps in after too many sleepless years. You saw it, she said before he could speak. I did. She didn't move. I was angry when I painted it, but I still wanted to remember who you were before the world took you. Nathan sat beside her. You didn't just remember me, you reminded me. Leah looked at him, the porch light catching the glint of tears she refused to let fall. I didn't need you to be successful, Nate. I needed you to stay. I know. And now, he took a breath. Now I want to stay, but not just for you. For me too. She looked down. And what if I told you I don't have anything left to offer? He reached into his jacket, pulled out the capsule note. Creased, faded, but still whole. You offered me this 7 years ago, he said, handing it to her. And that promise got me through more nights than I'll ever admit. She stared at the note in her hands. Slowly, her fingers curled around it. The wind rustled the trees in the distance. Somewhere, an owl called. Leah leaned into him, just slightly, enough to feel the warmth. You're still kind of an idiot, she murmured. He smiled. Yeah, but I'm your idiot. And she didn't argue. The next week passed in a strange rhythm. Slow, familiar, and dangerous in how easily it felt like home. Nathan stayed. Not in the attic at the general store, but in a rented room above the old library, where the window overlooked the lake and the oak tree beyond. He spent his mornings walking Mr. Monroe to his rehab appointments and his afternoons fixing up the barn with Leah. They didn't talk about the future much. Not yet. But there was a quiet ease growing between them again, like old vines finding their way back up the same wall. One Thursday evening, they sat on the roof of the barn, watching the sunset melt into the hills. "You ever think we're just pretending this is simple?" Leah asked, sipping from a mug of lukewarm tea. Nathan glanced over. "Simple doesn't mean fake." She nodded. "Still feels fragile, though, like we're building something with paper walls." "I've built billion-dollar systems with less stable code," he said, smirking. Leah laughed, short and real. "So romantic." Then the phone in Nathan's pocket buzzed. He didn't check it, but the screen lit up bright enough for Leah to catch the name. Ethan Keller, Venture, North Capital. Leah's eyes flicked away. "They're still calling?" Nathan nodded. "Yeah, they're insistent." "What do they want now?" "Buyout. Full one. Name your number kind of deal. And I haven't answered, because I'm not going back." Leah looked unconvinced. "Isn't that what you used to want? Power? Reach? Influence? I used to think that if I built the right thing, I'd finally matter." She turned to him. "And now I know that matching isn't about scale. It's about staying, showing up, not running when things get real." Leah stared at him, quiet. "So what do you want to build now, Nate?" He smiled gently. "A community center in Silver Bend for kids who dream too big for a town this small." She blinked, startled. Seriously, and I want you to help design it." "Me? You're the most gifted artist I know, and the only one who can make a building feel like it breathes." Leah looked away, biting her lip. "That sounds dangerous." He tilted his head. "Why?" "Because it sounds like a real beginning." "It is." Before either of them could say more, a siren echoed through the valley. They stood up, scanning the horizon. "That's coming from town," Leah said, already moving toward the ladder. 10 minutes later, they arrived near the diner, only to see flames licking the side of the building beside it. The Monroe's house. Mr. Monroe sat on the curb, dazed, a blanket around his shoulders. A firefighter gently pressed an oxygen mask to his face. Neighbors gathered, murmuring, stunned. Leah ran forward. "Dad!" He looked up, coughing. I'm okay. I smelled smoke in the middle of the night. Got out through the kitchen window." Nathan turned to the fire chief. "What happened?" "Faulty wiring. Old system. Fire caught fast. The insides, not livable anymore." Leah's knees gave slightly, and Nathan caught her before she hit the ground. "I've got you," he whispered. She buried her face in his shoulder. "I have nothing left." He pulled her close, tighter than ever. "Then we start again, together." And in the glow of the fire's fading light, surrounded by smoke and silence and the sound of hoses hissing through the dark, Leah held on. Not because she needed saving, but because this time he stayed. Spring came early to Silver Bend. By March, wildflowers began blooming along the highway, and the scent of new rain hung in the air like a promise. The Monroe house, blackened and hollow, was finally torn down. In its place stood wooden frames and scaffolding, already buzzing with life. Nathan didn't just pay for the rebuild. He designed it. Every corner, every slope of the roof, alongside Leah, who painted soft renderings of sunlight-filled rooms and wide, open windows. Her art was no longer hidden in the barn. It hung from town hall to the diner, even in the clinic lobby. For the first time in years, she was known not as the girl who stayed behind, but as the artist. And every morning, Nathan brewed coffee before the sun came up and walked down to the oak tree where a stone bench now rested. They carved a word into it together on the first warm Saturday of April. Stay. Not return. Not promise. Just stay. That was the word that changed everything. On the third Sunday of April, a crowd gathered under a wide white tent at the town's southern edge. The Silverbend Youth and Innovation Center was officially opening, complete with a tech lab, creative studio, and a mural wall Leah had spent 2 months painting with local students. Kids ran through the doors, their voices echoing against the fresh walls. Nathan stood at the entrance, smiling, a clipboard in one hand and a baseball cap on backwards. He wasn't the millionaire anymore. He was Coach Nate now, or just Mr. R. Leah stood beside him, one hand resting on the curve of her belly. 5 months along. "Remember when you said you were scared to come back?" she whispered. Nathan nodded. "Still am some days." She squeezed his hand. "But you did it anyway. I had a good reason." Leah looked up at him, eyes bright. "You were the reason, back then. You gave me something to believe in when everything else felt small." He smiled. "You were the reason I ran. You scared the hell out of me." She laughed. "And now you scare me for all the right reasons." They kissed, nothing dramatic. Just the kind of kiss two people share when they know they've survived something most people never talk about. Behind them, Mr. Monroe stood beside the ribbon, scissors in hand, smiling wider than anyone had seen in years. "You ready?" he called out. Nathan and Leah nodded. The ribbon snapped in two. Cheers rose from the crowd. And for the first time since either of them could remember, they weren't haunted by what might have been. Because the noise, the laughter, the new beginnings, was exactly what they'd been building toward all along. A life rooted in now. A life they didn't have to run from. Years later, long after the paint on the community center had faded and been touched up again, after Mr. Monroe passed peacefully in his sleep with his daughter's hand in his, and after the Reyes Monroe house filled with the soft chaos of 2 children and 1 stubborn golden retriever, Nathan found himself back under the oak tree. It was a warm, windy afternoon, the kind that made the leaves chatter like they had something sacred to say. He sat on the stone bench they carved together once, watching as his daughter, Ellie, climbed its low branches. Leah stood a few feet away, sketchbook in hand, sunlight painting her hair in strands of gold. "Careful, Elle," Leah called out. "I'm not gonna fall, Mom." Ellie grinned, hanging upside down like a bat. Nathan smiled, leaned back, and closed his eyes for a moment. It hit him sometimes, quietly and without warning, that this life they built didn't look anything like what he used to dream of. No city lights, no skyscrapers with his name etched in glass. Just laughter, wind, paint-stained fingers, a girl who never stopped believing, and a promise that was never broken, just delayed. Some dreams don't come true the way you expect. Sometimes they grow their roots deeper in a place you once left behind. And if you're lucky, they bloom right where you decide to stay. Before we close, let's take a moment to pray. May we all be protected from arrogance and misjudgment, and may we all be protected from harm and injustice in our daily lives. May this story inspire us to treat others with empathy, no matter what they look like or where they come from. If this story inspired you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for more meaningful stories. Let us know in the comments. Have you ever surprised someone with your hidden strength? We'd love to hear your story. Thank you for listening, and remember, the strongest people often look like the quietest ones. Until next time, stay strong, stay humble, and stay true.